The Maggio family resides in an old house in a Chinese city. The boy always begins his day by cleaning and cutting wood. He takes care of his grandma, who is not employed, and provides her a massage, hands-on care, or medication. The house is visited one day by representatives of the school where Jia attends. The sponsor is asked to help the family improve their living conditions since the teacher wishes to aid the potential youngster. Judge father, however, abruptly rejects any intervention, stating that this is their preferred way of life. The guests are more perplexed when the boy's mother arrives with coffee and glass jars. Indeed, when the father requests that the visitor go, the instructor tells the boy that she is perplexed. Are his parents actually these people? Jia's mother puts a basin of dirty washing in the cabinet after everyone has left, and right away, clean, nicely ironed clothes take its place. After that, the father gives the grandmother instructions to assist Jia get better in English. The sponsor drives off, and the parents get out. Though they are unaware of it, they are in awe of the surrounding opulent parking lot. That identical car is being used by Ji's parents. The father chastises the woman inside the car for not taking off her expensive watch, saying their son might see. Jay quickly leaves for school after the grandmother feeds him breakfast. As soon as he leaves, the grandmother gets up and calls other posts along the boy's path. Every stage of his trip is reported back to her by individuals posing as street sweepers, drivers, and vendors. Two foreigners stop her at an intersection and ask her for instructions in English. The grandmother also observes that she answers with a great deal of fluency. An elderly couple holding a bouquet of balloons waits for the boy in the throng when he gets to school later. They are quickly intercepted by security, which stops them from communicating with Ji. The family's cover narrative is then broken when the pair seats in the father's car and he chastises his in-laws for their unsuitable clothing. After school, he tells everyone to get dressed and meet at their house to celebrate their son's birthday. When Ji emerges outside, a classmate offers to take him into his father's car. The youngster is unaware that his grandparents are attempting to summon him to a nearby minivan. Just the father remembers how he took his wife to the ancient house where he had grown up years ago. Despite coming from the lowest family in the neighborhood, he succeeded greatly through perseverance. He now intends to keep his son impoverished. The mother is appalled. He had constructed a school in America for their eldest son, but now their youngest is forced to live in poverty. But the father is adamant that he must have a deserving heir. Therefore, the excessively fat infant is currently removed from the maternal grandparents' affluent home in spite of their adamant opposition. Now dressed appropriately, the grandparents show up to wish their grandson a happy birthday. Since they constantly attempt to give the boy money, they are searched right away. The daughter discovers a bill concealed in her mother's sock this time. A birthday cake is waiting for you on the table when you get home. The boy gives his grandmother the second piece and his mother the first. At this moment, the grandfather recalls how the grandmother used to bathe him in a pool, feed him, and push him on swings when he was a child. When the grandma tries to tell her grandson that his father is outrageously rich, the father uses a slice of cake to hush her. The grandma is escorted away by the assembled neighbors, but not before the grandfather successfully gives Jay some cash concealed in his hair. But at his father's request, Jia gives him the money and asks him to put it in the family's savings box. When Jia confidently figures out the family's monthly spending, the father declares that the boy will now be in charge of the home budget. The family reads books together in the evening. Gadgets are only concealed in the parent volumes. As a token of respect, the mother later washes the grandmother's feet. As he gets ready for bed, Ji says he wants to save money for his father's new shoes by purchasing veggies at the market. The mother tells Ji that the piano being played through the wall by a neighbor is Rachmaninoff's music, dissecting its subtleties. The parents go to their room once the child has fallen asleep. After that, they enter a wardrobe, which is actually an elevator that leads to a subterranean office where Ji's life management team works. The father announces a bonus and thanks everyone for their efforts. The past. Because his father is carrying out a big plan, the mother advises her kid not to be angry with him. The father then announces a new rule: no more ice cream or electronics. The toddler sobbed for the first several days and insisted on returning to his grandmother to swing on her swings. The parents were prepared to give up after a few days. However, the father discovered Madame Li's book on raising children properly. Madame Li soon assumed control of the home, and it was because of her that she started to succeed greatly. The second phase of Operation Successor, which aims to promote financial literacy, is announced by the father today. These days, Ji goes to markets and stores where he meets foreign sellers who test his mathematical skills. When the mother discovers a box beneath Ji's jacket one day, she joyfully declares that he fulfilled his pledge to buy his father new shoes. It turns out to be a tablet, however. Everyone is deeply offended by the discovery. The crew later finds out that tablets can be returned to the store for a refund within 7 days. Like a real businessman, Ji had planned everything. Jia sees his father's torn shoe as he says goodbye to him the following day, as the father is feigning to leave for work. Ji returns the tablet to the store, but the seller says it was water damaged and won't accept it. Determined, Ji chooses to gather empty bottles and cans in order to recycle money. But his parents are upset because his classmates make fun of him. However, the father emphasizes that the heir must get knowledge. The meantime, the team spots Ji enter the store thanks to security cameras. To their astonishment, the vendor leaves the register open as they move away. When Jia reaches for the money, he just shuts the drawer and tells the merchant, who praises him and asks him to come back. The team applauds Ji's honesty. From that point on, along Ji's route, assistants covertly scatter empty bottles. A foreigner on a quad bike stops by Ji one day to ask him some questions and extend an invitation to lunch. The man walks him to his hotel room after taking him to a restaurant and ordering a feast. The onlookers, thinking the foreigner is just another imposter, relax in the room until Ji meets a young Chinese man who offers to buy bottles that have been accumulated over the years. The truth comes out as he takes a bath while Che unwinds in the warm water. Everyone, under the father's leadership, hurries to the hotel when the team sounds an alarm. The Chinese man, who turns out to be Ji's older brother, is captured after they barge into the room and attack the foreigner. His brother admits that he missed Joe and just wanted to spend time with him when he is taken away. Ji is later reprimanded by his mother and grandma for his gullibility and for purchasing a tablet rather than shoes. However, the father pardons him and encourages him to consider ways to acquire even more bottles. They attend a sporting event the following day, where it is traditional to throw empty bottles at the losers. Ji discovers a whole field strewn in bottles at the conclusion of the game. As they collect the loot, he and his family applaud. After identifying the starting line, Jia starts the race. He gets his father new sneakers the next day. As the father rejoices, Jia's teacher shows up with a coach who has seen his talent for years and wants to help him sign up for a sports academy. The father is powerless to protest as Ji enthusiastically agrees. In the morning after that night, the father gives Ji's leg a strong anesthetic. Ji collapses as soon as he gets out of bed, losing sensation in his leg. After taking him to a phony doctor, the father diagnoses Ji with a disease that prevents him from participating in professional sports. She sobs, but is comforted by his mother's tears and vows to gather more bottles. The father then advises you to consider assigning tasks to others. Attending Ji might improve lives and realize his father's desire, he argues, as a financial university develops top specialists. The father provides Ji a bicycle in exchange for Ji's vow to do so. These days, Ji rides his bike to school and frequently offers his friend Fai a lift. As the years go by, the father becomes more and more uncomfortable with their relationship. It doesn't seem romantic, though. It seems that poverty is what unites them. The father uses his connections to get Fai a place at a dance school. Fai isn't a very good dancer, so Ji feels perplexed. Fai becomes enraged and knocks him off his bike when he brings this up. Ji takes a ride home, where he solves a math problem that someone casually throws to him in the yard with ease. As he gets closer, he hears his family talking about how they are prepared to give up everything in order for him to enroll in the financial university. Though he still has aspirations of playing athletics, a driven Jia returns to his studies. In a philosophy lesson, Ji and the teacher argue that reality can be altered by awareness. He observes how things appear to be changing in his favor. He has grown intelligent, competent, and well-rounded despite their lack of wealth, as though an invisible power directs his life. On his way home, the teacher dismisses him from class. While on a basketball court, Ji spots his grandmother. When she spots him, she takes off running. While pursuing her, she picks up a misplaced sneaker. She is laying in bed when he is intercepted. His mother's room is empty when he rushes to it. He goes back to his grandmother and asks her a question when his mother unexpectedly shows up wearing a beautiful outfit and jewelry. Ji yells in confusion, but his grandmother dismisses it as his weariness. When Ji confronts his father, he also accuses him of exaggerating. Ji finds on the following morning that his grandmother died during the night. Her last game of basketball was a wonderful burst of vitality before she passed away. To say goodbye to the grandmother, they went to the funeral parlor. Everyone starts crying when Jae walks in and places the elderly woman on a hearse. He is held as he lunges at his grandmother. Jia carries out the required rites, sobbing and expressing regret for not keeping his promises to get her a large home and take her to the beach. The grandmother bursts into tears upon hearing this. She can't stand it any longer and sits up in the hearse as Jia starts yelling. Jae is grabbed by the father. They are able to prevent the grandma and mother from seeing each other by having the mother lie on top of the grandmother. The grandma later regrets that she would never again see the boy she came to like. However, the father assures her that everything will be revealed when she starts college and that he will be ecstatic to witness the miracle of a loved one's resurrection. Later on, perhaps, Ji tells Faye that he can't get his mother's unexpectedly stylish appearance out of his head. Faye speculates that his mother may have been hidden with a boyfriend in the bedroom. Jia was wearing a lot of clothing because her father is much older than she is. Soon after, Jae follows the address Faye gives when he says he saw his mother with a man, only to discover it was their own home. His father is making fun of his lack of abilities while his parents are fighting with his older brother, who is demanding a job in the family firm. The parents, who welcome Jia in Serbian uniforms and introduce the brother as the homeowner, are hardly alerted by the spectators. In an attempt to divert his attention, Jae begins to identify the home after seeing irregularities in their behavior. After the father shoves Joe into the pool, Jae makes a commitment to go to college and make a difference in his life. Later on, though, the mother notices a shift, and Jia does remarkably well on the Jae preliminary examinations. His parents take him to school and wait outside on the day of the joint exam. However, Jia is not among the pupils departing when the examiners arrive, and when the parents get home, they discover that Jae's backpack has a picture of him with his lips taped shut. While watching them from a rooftop, one of the assistants recognizes the area in the picture, and everyone rushes to find their missing Jae. As it happens, he recalled nearly drowning in the pool as a boy after he fell in and saw a swan sketch at the bottom. He started to pay attention and quickly became aware of a number of strange things, including his mother's accessories and the ongoing surveillance. Everyone around him talked about the financial university non-stop after he later found the elevator in the wardrobe. At that point, he staged his own abduction and went down to the workplace via the elevator. He discovered a wall with analyses of his diary, stamp assignments, facial expressions, and photographs of all the teachers he had learned from over the years, including his grandmother, Madam Lee. Jia hears his grandmother's voice expressing regret for the deception as he hurls a basket against the wall. The family members hurry in. The father questions who they really are, even though he is thrilled that Jae worked everything out on his own. When the mother notices that they are no longer on the wall, she cries and hugs him, and the father exhorts him to embrace his position as the heir as soon as possible. But Jia doesn't seem to be listening to their cries. At last, he states that he must forge his own route. He softly unlocks a door that leads to a big puddle with kids playing behind it. Jia takes a step forward and begins to run. His parents see him leave. Reaching the top of a mountain, the older brother yells that he doesn't give a damn about his father's opinion, which has always been that he is weak. Ji, meanwhile, succeeds and joins a sports academy. His parents support him while watching TV at home. However, Jae abruptly leaves the track to pick up empty bottles. His parents decide to give him a brother in order to make up for lost time after realizing this. The film elevates itself into a narrative of self-discovery and ideals that money cannot purchase by deftly combining tragic and comic moments.